I know I should read the mangas for most of these, but I just like anime more.
Yeah, it's a show about anime. It's not a show about manga.
Yeah, it's true.
Some of them are based on manga, but
yes,
that's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast that doesn't exist with us. So, anyways,
yeah, this is a podcast for people who want to see people dumping on other people.
Yeah, not actually shitting on their chest like Mikey wants to do to me, but just like making him angry, which is what I do, which is like nice and wholesome and friendly.
But if you want to see that stuff, onlyfans.com/anime Shmanime.
Coming soon. Okay, we're gross and weird.
Shinichi, take one.
You're supposed to be quiet when you snap it.
Once again.
Shinichi,
can't stress it enough.
Shinichi, take two.
There you go.
He's got it. Ladies and gentlemen, he's got it.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Anime
Shmanime.
I'm your host, Mikey Lee. And here is my other counterpart. My what's Miggy? What's left in Japanese?
What?
Well, Miggy is right.
Yeah.
What's left in Japanese?
Are you saying you're Miggy?
Yeah, because I'm on the right side of the table.
Okay, but in real life.
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh, 100%. I'm totally...
So confrontational.
Yeah.
You really fucking think so, right?
I don't know, dude.
Wait, Senpai, what's left in Japanese?
Interesting. It's interesting.
What's left in Japanese?
Okay,
Let's search that up for me real quick. And then we've also got... This is the part where you introduce yourself,
I
jackass.
thought you were trying to figure out what's left in Japanese. I'm Jordy.
Hidari.
I'm Jordy, a.k.a.
Hidari. Yeah.
So Miggy means right.
Miggy means right.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
It
Miggy
is
means
100%.
right.
It's Miggy.
Yeah, Miggy.
Wow. So smart.
Yeah, because it was in his right hand.
I know that.
So for those of you who fucking don't know yet, but we're doing Parasyte,
yes,
the Maxim. And so again, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen this, go watch it. Or if you don't care, just keep watching us because we're going to spoil fucking everything.
Yep.
And yeah, hope you enjoy.
Okay, so here is how I would describe Parasyte.
Okay.
It's a blending of three classic Western titles. Revenge of the Body Snatchers.
Which actually I haven't seen.
Okay, it's like a classic horror movie.
Yeah,
Parasites take over human bodies. 90s cult classic Idle Hands, starring teen heartthrob Devon Sawa.
And Jessica Alba.
Yeah, and Nickelodeon's Real Monsters.
No, man.
Listen, okay, hold on.
No.
I see where you're going there with Real Monsters.
Just saying.
Real Monsters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, classic.
Yeah.
I get where you're seeing as far as the aesthetic goes, but absolutely not.
No, it's very far as like the vibe and the plot. Okay, so parasitic aliens invade Earth, taking over human bodies.
Yeah.
Right? And one man is left with a cartoonish sentient alien right hand, and together they stumble their way through killing all the other aliens while contemplating what it means to be human.
Yeah.
And as viewers, we're left to contemplate whether when he masturbates, is he getting an alien blowjob or an alien handjob?
Okay, it's not like I haven't thought of that.
It's not like you cannot think about that when you're watching the show.
All right, but first of all, no, the writers and the artists actually drew influence from the cult classic The Thing.
Okay.
Like not The Thing like we were talking about
I know
last
what you mean.
episode.
Yeah. It's a detached hand though, right?
Yeah, right. And like or even just the monster, like where you have bodies. So for those of you who haven't seen this cult classic, The Thing, there's body parts where they open up and like have teeth and shit like that. So it's kind of the same idea.
Sure.
So they play on that a lot.
Yeah, but you didn't answer my question. Is it an alien blowjob or hand job?
Listen, to be fair, it's actually up to debate as to whether or not they're alien at all.
What?
Yeah.
What else would they be? They came from the sky.
Just because they came from the sky doesn't mean that they're fucking aliens. They could be.
Their origin is still unknown.
Yeah.
You guys love making shit up.
No,
man.
it's
It's actually a theme in it as to whether or not their place on this earth is as rightful as humans because they do feel like they are of the earth the same way we are.
Interesting.
There is no real explicit like spaceship or
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, they're just like otherworldly, I guess you could say. They're like not of our world that we know. They're unknown. Unknown.
They're unknown.
Okay, so is it an unknown blowjob or an unknown hand job?
It depends if Migi's in the hand.
Well, that's what Migi is.
No, but when Migi like leaves like being visible, that goes back to a normal hand.
Yeah, okay, so Migi's there and they get going.
Then that's Migi doing that to Shinichi.
With his mouth?
No,
it depends.
It depends. Yeah, you know what? Okay, look, it's never
Is the mouse involved?
explained.
You don't need to answer this question.
I think we do. I think you want to.
Yeah, you need to know the answer.
buddy.
I know you need to know the answer.
I need to know what you think the answer is.
You made your bed. You lay in it.
Okay, I think if we're gonna go specifically based on how the characters actually are, Migi would experiment, just to know what that is.
He wanted to at one point. He's like, "Let me see if I can get that dick hard in the bathroom." He's explicitly inside that.
Right? Like, because he's trying to learn what it is to be human.
Totally.
Right? Because every other one, well, I mean, there's a couple other ones that didn't actually make it into the human brain.
One other one.
No, there was a couple.
Were there?
The dog.
Okay, yeah, sure.
There's the dog. There's the one with the chin.
The chin is the other one I was talking about.
And then, oh fuck, what's the big baddie at the end? What's his name?
He's got 5 in him.
Yeah, he's got 5 in him.
Yeah. But that's not because they didn't make it to the head. That's just because like there was already one in that head. Yeah. And they might have been in heads previously, and then he might have convinced them to merge because apparently that can happen too.
Yeah. They evolve, man.
Yeah. Okay, so overall, pretty good show.
Yeah. Okay.
We are on a roll.
Yes.
Yes. My Shweebs, we are on a roll.
I'm so glad you thought so.
Pretty good, dude. There's a lot to like here. I will say there were like some moments where I was getting a little disinterested in the middle section.
Yeah,
it was dragging a bit.
It does drag. I will give you that.
And in all honesty, if I wasn't committed for this purpose to watching the whole thing, I probably would have given up.
No.
It was losing me.
No,
it was losing me, dude.
At what point?
Okay, so the ending's really strong. And the intro is really good, but at one point there's like so many like enemies being introduced and killed off, and there's like all these weird little subplots happening, and I was just kind of lost, to be honest with you, and I was like getting bored.
So what you're telling me is you're not as intelligent as Migi to stay within, that framework.
Man, just going straight for the throat, man. Right? We haven't even got through the intro yet.
Honestly, that attack was as weak as their attacks when they just fucking stand still and like swing their fleshy tentacles at each other.
Are you kidding me? Those are fucking like carnage level like weapons.
Okay. Anyways,
your butt hurt. Your butt hurt. Your butt hurt.
Can I ask who's yelling right now? The one who's butt hurt. So the
eyes just speak passionately.
Ladies and gentlemen,
passionate about anime.
Yeah.
My Shweebs will back me on this. Who are passionate about anime. Sometimes we blindly accept things like I tell you to.
Will they?
Well, I don't know. They'll fucking tell me in the comments later.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are like a piece of metal garbage stuck into some guy's side right now.
Right?
It's like,
man. Okay, so there's a lot to get into here. A lot to get into as we've established, because if you haven't watched the show, you have no fucking idea what we're talking about right now. So
wait, but before we do that, should we get Senpai to give us a little rundown?
We can. I had a lot of more opening thoughts.
Give us.
There's a lot to get into. Okay, let me tell you a couple of things really quick. First of all, humans are the monsters is the theme of this show.
Yeah,
top to bottom. And I dig that because obviously, like,
humans are trash.
I know, but that's what's cool about this show is they have these legitimate monsters that all they're doing is exposing the fact that we suck. You know what I mean? Which is cool.
Yeah,
poking holes in humanity.
Totally. Yeah. And also, like, what it means to be human is a big thing, like you said, right? Like these aliens constantly saying, like, we're sentient. And then Shinichi he's half and half, and so his entire struggle is, am I human or am I an alien, right? And so there's also
especially later in the season,
and there's correlations with like Ghost in the Shell in that respect, right, too, where she's contemplating like how much have I changed and how much of what I originally am I still,
and how can I fit into society moving forward.
So just theme wise, I thought this show was really strong right off the bat. I will say also another great thing about the show, character development. Finally,
there's
we get some really good character development.
a lot of good character
He's
development.
all over the map, Shinichi.
and fucking,
He's all over the place.
The trauma that he fucking goes through.
Totally. And I'll say he's kind of the only one who had character development. A little Miggy we'll get into later as well too.
And I'll also argue that on another character in particular that I feel very passionate about. But
okay, I think I know who you're talking about. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. Another thing I noticed: almost no fan service.
Yeah,
there's no boobs in this show.
Nope.
Which, like, honestly, it's fucking nice for once, dude. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm down for boobs.
Jordy,
and like
we are not the same.
A little less so for like giant floppy anime boobs.
but there's like still a sex scene.
Yeah.
But it's very tasteful.
Yeah, it's a very tasteful.
And there was like a hard boob grab in the first episode.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I love it. It was such a good scene.
But I don't think either of those really qualify as fan service.
No, you're right. Not your typical
super
anime.
tame.
Yeah. The great thing, like I remember when this first came out and I watched it, it was such a fresh breath of air.
Totally.
Compared to any of the like isekais that we were watching or like your typical animes,
fan servicey
ones, or just even ones that just always follow the formula.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I watch anime and I immediately see teenagers in school, like there's going to be some sort of harem. Do you know what that is?
Like a group. What does you mean by harem? Like a group of women?
Yeah. Harem story. Like, so one guy, multiple girls, likes the one guy. Guy's oblivious. There's always some sort of shit like that.
Okay.
Right.
Is there? I haven't experienced that in the titles we've watched yet.
Yeah. Well, because I'm throwing you some pretty decent shit, man.
Okay. Let me just point out to you that, like, I said there's no fan service in this, and we just kind of agreed that it's a breath of fresh air because the rest of the titles we've watched so far are a little fucking ridiculous.
Yo.
Like, you just kind of agreed with me.
Just wait, bro.
Okay, I know we're going into the darkness together. I'm aware.
The gamut.
Okay.
Oh shit, that we're gonna throw at you.
Speaking of
darkness, light.
Yeah.
I mean,
let's do it. Let's get the character development that Shinichi had in our going through these titles. So speaking of darkness, the show's like a little rapey. Like the way that the parasites kill is by like luring women into like abandoned buildings and like underground parking garages on like dates.
Yeah, but it's you know what, that doesn't deviate from like what serial killers have been known to do.
Absolutely
right?
not. I'm just saying it was like a common theme in the show, but again, it also adds to the humans are the worst theme, which is like that happens in real life, like you said, right?
Right. So
just something I noted and I thought was like interesting to point out.
It's predatory behavior that you're seeing, and they
but
talk
specifically,
about that.
they're like they tend to like show you more murders where it's like a man luring a woman. That happens very often.
Yeah,
in the show. And the last thing I'll mention, as far as opening thoughts before we get into some details, is it really skirted the line of Monster of the Week. It was on the edge the whole time, and I'll say it didn't get there. It didn't go down the slippery slope. But like at one point, Miggy even says like, we can beat them if we fight them one at a time, one on one.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh god, this is gonna happen all over again. It's gonna be another one of those shows. And I was just really happy they didn't do that. So it was worth noting that they like, I don't know if it was intentional to like make you think and then not, but it did that for me, and I was worried and then pleasantly surprised.
It was a nice subversion, I think, of your
in
expectations.
many ways. This show, that's a good way to like sum up.
It definitely was like, it's a very nice way of like, engaging in a mature theme without getting into those weird little tropes.
Totally.
Right. And that's what I loved about Parasyte when it first came out. I've seen it a couple times now.
Yeah.
And like, it's still up there in like the ones that I would recommend.
Yeah, I think so too. And as a Western person who has enjoyed animes that you've described me before as like, those are really good for Western audiences, I think this falls into that category. Like a lot of people who don't watch anime could maybe start with this and enjoy it and be happy and not caught off guard.
And it's cool too, especially as like the aesthetics of it, where you have these aliens and like this weird body like mutations that you don't normally see in other animes.
It's unique, that's for sure.
Right.
What I've almost forgot. There's one more thing before we move on, and it's not a thing that will make you angry. Don't worry. But like something that's kind of cool. They referenced all these like classic pieces of literature in the titles of the episodes.
Yeah.
And I spent my 20s reading those exact kind of books.
Yeah.
And so right away when I scrolled through the episode list, it's like, oh, neat. This is gonna be cool. But the thing is like, not all of them were like applicable.
Yeah.
And I was like kind of annoyed because like obviously Metamorphosis was episode 1, and that's Franz Kafka, and that's like literally that's what the show's about. Like part and part, same. And then there were a couple other ones that were the same. And then I got to like The Sun Also Rises by Hemingway, which was one of my favorite books in my 20s. And I'm like, that's just about a bunch of like artsy types getting drunk in Paris and going to the running of the bulls. I'm like, what does that have anything to do with this at all, right? So anyways, worth noting because like someone there cares about the same books that I care about, but they just kind of like snatched them and threw them in the title.
Yeah, I mean, like I can reach and like say they try to like put it in, but like honestly, it might have just been to keep a specific theme going throughout the whole time, right? Like I've had other animes, especially like music animes.
Yeah.
They'll do that. They'll have like a specific song for each episode that will be the song title or the title of the episode. But right, like just to kind of keep up on that.
Yeah, makes sense. But, well, maybe Jay will be able to explain it to us, and maybe not. But either way, let's hear some info, some background here.
So background on
oh no, we lost the mic.
Here we go. Now I'm good.
Go.
I'm back.
There we go.
Back. So Parasyte the Maxim, also known as Kiseiju Se no Kakuritsu. Again, apologies for all bad pronunciations. Is an anime television series produced by Madhouse based on the Parasyte manga series written by Hitoshi Iwaki. That was again. It was an 80s manga. Okay. All the way back from the 80s. So huge gap between the adaptation.
The Thing.
The series follows Shinichi Izumi, a high school boy whose right hand becomes possessed by this actually cites alien.
Interesting.
It's Wikipedia though, so let's take it with a grain of salt. Okay,
we'll take it with a grain of salt.
The actual Parasyte wiki says that there is no confirmed origin.
Yeah.
Who calls itself Migi, finding himself in a battle against other parasites who feast on humans. The series aired on NTV between October 9th, 2014 and March 26, 2015, and was simulcast by Crunchyroll outside of Asia and by Animax Asia and Southeast Asia and South Asia. The series is licensed in North America by Sentai Filmworks and began airing on Adult Swim's Toonami programming block from October 4th, 2015 to April 10th, 2016. So very close to the, I guess, actual airing of it in Japan, like within a year, basically. The opening theme song is Let Me Hear, performed by Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, while the ending theme is It's the Right Time, performed by Daichi Miura.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and
yeah, the Fear and Loathing, I don't remember that.
That's the name of the band who plays the song.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a weird band name.
Yeah.
But also another reference to classic literature.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yep. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys.
Okay.
Let's get in.
Okay, cool.
Thank
Let's
you,
dig in.
senpai.
Yeah.
Senpai.
Dude, you can stop. He notices you.
Notice me, senpai.
Yeah.
Notice me.
Notice me, senpai. Notice me.
Notice me.
You guys are so silly. Before we get on, I just want to point out that like this whole alien thing, I just really quickly, something's bothering me is you guys are always asking me to like accept things and like just allow things to be what they are. And like, it's pretty, like you guys are always making shit up saying it could be this. And I did that and I'm wrong.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying it could be more ambiguous than just as an alien thing.
I guess so.
You know what I mean? Because to me, I think it's a lot more interesting to think of it actually coming from the Earth, and that's something that the Earth produced to create balance.
To me, it was more like it seemed implied that it was alien in the way they projected it, like falling down and everything, and like.
Well, there's
again,
also
I like took it to the next step of assumption, which you guys are often telling me to do, and then I'm wrong.
But no, but Joe or the Jaw one came out of a spore on a plant.
Oh, did it?
That was on the ground.
I don't remember.
It was
but
literally.
Did it come out of it, or was it like on it and like?
No,
crawled up
it literally came out of the inside of this green plant spore that was on the ground. It crawled out of that.
All right.
It was from a plant.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Right. So it was just, it's like, it's very, I mean, at the time of this recording, this is still during the pandy. So
yeah, we'll get into that too. There's some interesting correlations with that too.
Right. So
okay. So
I think it's kind of nice and relevant for the time.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So to start off, we usually talk about the world, and this one, like, it's just Japan.
It's just Japan.
So it was pretty normal.
Yeah.
Not much to discuss
the world.
there. Yeah.
The world. It's just the world.
The world.
Just normal.
Japan, which is nice. I like Japan.
Beautifully
painted.
Beautifully painted though in the background.
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
I've
I
never
was going
been-
to say that is a great segue into the art. Is that I thought it was like kind of just fine. standard anime art. Like there's nothing special going on here.
You nailed it.
No, you see here, this is where I disagree a little bit.
Okay.
Right? Because even
Shocker.
you're supposed to be on my side.
He's just pointing out how like it's
Of
no
course
big,
you
no big
disagree.
deal for us to have different opinions here. Yeah.
No, but like what I'm saying is like especially as far as character design, having the forethought to have like the weird like symbiote like arms and shit like that. Like
there
you
was
don't,
some cool stuff in that. I'll
Right.
give you that, dude.
right. So that's but it is pretty minor as far as like I do agree like certain aspects.
Yeah,
of,
I mean,
of the anime
I agree with
yeah.
you about the like design of the. I'm gonna keep calling them aliens, and you're gonna
That's
just
fine.
have to let it go.
That's fine. I'm
The
fine with
design
that.
of the aliens
Yeah.
is like pretty interesting and neat, but like as far as the style of anime, it's just like standard anime.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's the thing. I think a lot of what makes it good came from the manga, and it was just taken from that. I think the actual style of anime this is, the era it's from, the type of animation, the animation house is, like Jordy said, just fine.
Yeah.
It did the job.
Totally.
But it's nothing I'm going to write home about.
Totally.
There's so much other stuff from the same era that is so much better.
Yeah.
So much better and more creative and more stylistic. This was very like down the fucking middle
Middle of the
Yeah.
road.
of all different styles. So it comes out very neutral.
Yeah, well, which I can back still because it's it's a decently styled anime with a good story, right? If it was like the same style with a shitty story, I'd just be like, this is a garbage anime.
This is all
never watch
story,
it,
right?
yeah.
Like, this is
Right.
all plot.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Which is funny too, because we've been arguing about Mikey like this, like at the beginning of this episode. In the manga, he's actually in the left hand.
Really?
Yeah.
And still named Miggy?
No, they had to change it.
Sure.
Yeah, for the anime.
There's something
like
iconic.
like that. Somebody correct me in the comments.
Yeah, there's something iconic about the right hand. There's your Darth Vader with his, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
His missing right hand. There's your Hellboy with the right hand of Doom.
Yeah.
There's something about the right hand that is like significant versus the left hand is just like a hand.
Yeah, well, I mean, like it is, it is our dominant hand for most people,
yeah,
right?
sure,
like
yeah.
so that would make
Yeah.
sense.
As far as character development goes, something funny I noticed is that like they all have like regular normal anime lips, and then Miggy has these like big luscious blowjob lips,
Yeah. Okay. So
which again left me to beg the question.
Here before I you go on about that.
I'm done with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a cool thing about Miggy's voice actor.
Okay.
So she is a professional beatboxer.
Interesting.
So in the Japanese, because I didn't fucking, if there's a dub, I didn't watch it.
Okay.
But in the Japanese,
I did a little bit.
There's a dub. Oh, of course, there's a dub by
it's
now.
fucking
Yeah.
bad, dude.
Oh, I would assume so.
It was
because
really bad, man.
I hate dubs in general.
They made, just before you go on about the voice actor, they made Miggy into this like emotive character. Like,
Ew.
yeah, there was like ups and downs to her voice, and whereas like in the original
Yeah.
voice actor, she's very robotic, or he rather,
Yeah.
right, very one note robotic, like no emotion whatsoever, which is like what the character is supposed to be. It was very strange because I flipped
But
to
is
the dub.
Mickey a he? Like, does he have a gender?
They say he. a
I
lot.
guess, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Actually, which was interesting because it's a female voice actor, I kept wanting to say she in my notes and everything. And I kept having to remind myself, oh no, actually, they say he, so I should say he.
Yeah. So, the voice actor is a professional beatbox. So all the weird sounds that Mickey makes, like when Shinichi tries to kill him at first, like that's her like beatboxing.
Ah, cool. You know, it's funny actually. It's funny because one of my notes way later on is that like when Miggy's morphing, there's these like farty sounds.
Yeah.
that kept making me laugh, and I was like, why does it sound farty? But it's like it's some choice that person made.
Yeah, exactly, right. And which I thought was, when I found that out, I thought that was a really cool
That
way
is cool.
of bringing these different sounds that you wouldn't normally have. Like, I mean, anytime
It's like Police Academy.
Police Academy.
You know the guy who did all the sound effects in Police Academy? It's like that. Yeah. Anyways, that's a good segue. We're talking about sound and beatboxing into the music.
Yeah. So I don't know about you. I kind of felt okay about the music.
There were 2 points that stood out. One, is every anime intro song just like a Screamo song?
Yes.
Is it always a day to remember? It's always a day to remember.
Well, yeah. Well, I thought it sounded like Odd Project.
Okay,
yeah,
I guess,
right? Like
yeah.
it's not still like Screamo.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but that's kind of J-rock
Fast
for
paced,
you.
clean, and now we're right.
Yeah.
Every single
melody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like clean.
They're all like that, though, is what you're
but
saying.
Yeah. A lot of anime is going to sound like Under Oath.
Sure.
old like screamo. Like
Yeah.
I dig it. That's all I listen to is fucking.
It doesn't bother me, but I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, yeah, yeah. So, and then the other piece of the music that stood out to me is during the fight scenes, they like shift into this like Skrillex music all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And there's this like crazy dubstep going on, and I was like, that's kind of cool. To be honest with you, I was like,
Well, at the time, that's when dubstep was pretty big too, right?
yeah, and I like that they used it in the fight scenes because it really sets the tone for like this is intense, especially because during the fight scenes, not a lot of intense shit's going on.
I don't know about that. A fucking hand going all carnage with blades going.
But that's the thing, though, dude, is that because the blades are such like a blur of fury and the people are just standing still, it's like kind of uneventful to watch.
I don't know. I like that dichotomy, though.
To me, I feel like it was a bit of a cop out. You know what I mean? You have these like super dangerous, violent kind of looking creatures, and they're just kind of standing at each other, and this blur of tentacles is flashing, but you don't actually see what's happening.
Yeah, because they're like fighting at the speed of light.
Yeah, I know why. I'm just saying, like, visually, it was like ineffective.
Yeah, but if you're okay, this is where I'm saying, like, before, like in our last episode, right, where we were talking about cool ninja shit, right? Like that became the standard for so long.
Yeah.
Right. And then so you would see a lot of that in anime. So the dichotomy now of like just people staring each other down and having this intense moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just something different.
I guess maybe because I'm not as well versed in anime as you, and I'm maybe not as burned out in the cool ninja shit. I like could have used some cool ninja shit. Do you know what I mean? And maybe that's just me.
That's fair.
It definitely didn't give me any lack of violence.
Okay, that's fair.
You know what I mean?
There's also just so my Shweebs know we're never going to do a Naruto episode. That's just too much of an undertaking. And I don't feel like I want to put you through that because that's just cruel.
Yeah,
even though I
guess,
like Naruto, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the amount of fillers, we could skip the fillers, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess y'all just tell us what you think.
Sure. Don't hold your breath for Naruto, but let us know, I guess.
Naruto.
I don't even know what any of this stuff is, dude. That's what it would be like if we did an episode on it. That's what I would sound like.
Yeah, but I will say, Guy Sensei is my favorite, man. Like he's so.
I don't know who that is.
That's okay. You know what? Maybe we will have to do an arc. Just maybe an arc.
Okay, sure.
Anyway,
fair enough.
But here's the nice thing about fucking arcs.
Yeah.
Is that when you arc your arm like this?
Yeah.
To your keyboard.
The worst, bro.
Oh my god!
It just keeps getting worse.
That one.
What do you do when you arc? Can you?
What happens?
To your keyboard.
What happens? What happens next?
It goes to like typing and subscribing maybe to your mouse or whatever like device you're using, and that you subscribe. Or like or comment to whatever.
Maybe
platform.
don't go for the keyboard. Go for your mouse.
Go for your mouse.
Yeah.
Or your touch screen on your phone.
Okay, fine. That was a bad one. That was a bad one.
Click like.
Okay. That was a bad one.
Click
I'll
like.
give you guys that one. That was a bad one.
Click
Not as
subscribe.
smooth.
You tried.
Not as smooth. Not
You
as
tried.
smooth.
Okay.
Hold on, real quick, just to get all of the dumping on Mikey out of the way.
No, there's a lot more dumping on Mikey to be done.
Yeah, you.
Well, hold up. Let me.
I have a shit on your chest.
I don't want that. I didn't ask for that.
Let me real quick just talk about the whole left hand original type thing.
Yeah.
In the Tokyo Pop westernized release, which mirrored the manga to read right to left.
Oh. Yeah.
It changed to lefty.
Oh, interesting.
Became the name. So that's only in the westernized release, which is not the OG Japanese release, which means we hate it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I just remember that was a fact at some point.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good
Close.
job.
Close.
You're
That was
close.
close.
You're
That
close.
was close. There it is.
Now that the air has been cleared and the dumping on Mikey is done, let's get into
Dump on Mikey some more.
let's dump on him some more. Yeah.
I know I should read the mangas for most of these, but I just like anime more.
Yeah, it's a show about anime. It's not a show about manga.
Yeah, it's true.
Some of them are based on manga, but
Yeah.
That's
not
a different
well,
podcast.
that's a different podcast that doesn't exist with us. So, anyways,
Yeah, this is a podcast for people who want to see people dumping on other people.
yeah, not actually shitting on their chest like
He's like-
Mikey wants to do to me,
No.
but just like making him angry, which is what I do, which is like nice and wholesome and friendly.
But if you want to see that stuff, onlyfans.com/anime shmanime.
Coming soon. Okay. We're gross and weird.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get
fan
into it.
service is about to hit hard right now. Yeah.
Let's get into it. So in the opening scene, you get this like poetic narrative. Someone's talking about, I don't even remember what, but it sounded kind of important and intense. And then this dude suddenly his head opens up like a Venus flytrap and he eats that fucking bitch.
So good.
Right away, dude. And then right after that, happy anime song. Immediately.
Yep.
Immediately.
Yep.
So right away, my brain is like, this is going to get fucked. And it did. I was not disappointed.
Yeah.
So in the opening episode, they did a good job. Even just that scene, but the whole episode, they like really lay it out for you, which as you all know, I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
Please lay it out for me.
Yes.
And I really
you need things fucking spelt out for you.
yeah, and this show did a great job. So right away we meet Shinichi, who's like super meek and like quiet and shy and weird, and that sets up his like abrupt character development, which at times is very abrupt and at times is not, right? But it's cool to get that like that introduction to him,
Yeah.
and it's like you don't know where it's going because it's like who's this meek little guy, right? So anyways, then they also introduce Murano. Murano it is. Okay, we introduced Murano and they have
Yeah, let's go with that.
yeah, Murano. They have an awkward high school romance, which is like, okay, I see. This is a high school show about kids in high school.
Awkward's an understatement.
Yeah, and we'll
that
get into
girl.
that later
That
as
girl.
well too.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Murray.
You also, why would you say it?
I'm not telling you now.
Okay, it's Murano. So they also another thing they show you is how they fight, which we talked about. They
Yeah,
have these
yeah.
like nightmare-inducing fleshy tentacles with blades on the end of them,
Yeah.
and they come from their heads, which is like when you see it right off the bat, fucking terrifying. I
Yeah.
will say, like, I don't know if this is something I was going to talk about later, but this seems like a good point. Is that like it gets kind of old because it's
Yeah, a
always
little
just
bit.
head tentacles over and over and over again, and I'm like, you could give me something else. But anyways,
But I think the nice thing too, like with most animes, they always have some sort of kawaii feel.
what?
Dude, we taught you this word
Did
at
you?
some point. We must have.
You'll have to teach me again.
Kawaii. It's like
Cute.
Kawaii. Like yeah,
means
cute.
cute.
Okay. The way you tried to describe it by saying it again in a different tone
It means
doesn't help
it
you understand what you're
literally
meaning, by
means
the way.
cute in Japanese.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But like Miggy is cute.
Yeah.
Even when he has just like two little blades.
Yeah. I agree with
Yeah.
that, but that doesn't explain why they constantly give me head tentacles and not different kinds of weapons and different kind of morphs.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I just
Okay.
wanted to
Well, thanks for the lesson there, buddy. Thank you for
No,
the
listen,
lesson.
I think there's flashes of it, right? There's moments,
There's moments. I'll give
where
you.
you see some creepy stuff going on,
Sure.
and you know, like for
I
like the
agree.
dog at the beginning was
Yeah.
pretty freaky.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah,
and
fucking
I was
vampire
getting
dog.
I was getting the Thing vibes off of a lot of it, right? But whereas the Thing, literally in that movie, the Thing, it is variety. Every time you see him, that monster, it's in a totally different capacity.
Sure. Different body part, different shape.
Absolutely, everything about it is different. It's
Yeah.
grotesque in a different way.
This was kind of same every
This
single
was
one.
got super same, and I
Yeah.
think that ties into our criticism just about the art style being really safe.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
I think the art style, the gore, all of these things were played incredibly safe.
Yeah.
And maybe that's to broaden the appeal, and maybe that's why the show got so big and so popular. And maybe it worked out
Well,
for
it's
them.
easy to digest, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think especially in light of some of the other stuff we've watched recently,
Yeah.
this felt very tamed
Okay.
down for me.
Yeah, I can hear that. I mean, there was
Yeah.
all the well, we just fucking watched Ninja Scroll. So
That's what I
like,
mean.
There's
Yeah.
not
Considering
much is like not tame compared
Think
to Ninja
about what this
Scroll.
could have been.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure.
Well, like, but we're comparing a feature film
Yeah.
to an anime series, and
Sure.
series are always going to have a more
Pulled back.
pulled back because they need to animate so much more. Well, I'm not saying that they they just so much longer for a longer period of time.
Sure.
Right? Like,
Yeah. I agree with you. I get what you're saying. Again, it just felt you could have done a little more.
Yeah.
Just give me fleshy tentacles from a different part of your body once in a while or something. You know what I mean?
It was head tentacles with axes at the end.
Yeah.
Always.
Every single
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, okay. So
Also, how many times can we watch a head unravel like a ribbon?
Yeah.
sometimes they unraveled in different patterns.
Yeah.
But even that, I mean, come on.
I know.
Let's
I'm
go.
just trying. I'm
Let's
trying
go.
for Mikey's sake. I'm trying for you.
You're trying.
Yeah,
That's
'cause I know
really
you
sweet.
need it. Because I know you need it, buddy.
You're throwing me a bone today.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Okay, so actually,
I'm gonna
let's
make
get
you
into
watch tentacle porn now.
Let's get into a part that's going to make you angry. Don't want to watch that. I'm disturbed that you watched that.
I don't watch. Well, I've watched it.
Why? Okay.
I've watched it. Yeah, you always get curious at some point.
Do you? Okay.
And we're back. Okay, sorry guys, we just had to edit a bit out there. So.
We're gonna move on because I'm disturbed by Mikey and I don't want to talk about this anymore. So in the intro episode, the first episode, you also get an introduction to like how the parasites work. Yeah. And there's a lot of different ways in which they work. And so like in this episode of our podcast, we're probably not going to do chronological so much as piece by piece. So I want to spend some time talking about how the parasites work. Okay. So that's to me, it felt pretty convoluted. There's a lot of random shit they can do. Okay.
What's convoluted? Like
we'll get to it. I have a list, dude. So like, and this is probably the second.
Okay, so I'm so glad that I looked at you in that moment, Jay Senpai, because this is that meme where the guy looks at you and he just blinks. Yeah, that's what Jay did.
Okay. So there are some simple ways in which they work, i.e. go for the head, fleshy tentacle blades. But like, okay, let me get into the list. Okay. So first of all, this is like the second weakest part of the show for me. We'll get into the weakest part.
Okay.
But anyway, so first thing, Shinichi thinks he's the only one with an underdeveloped parasite because he stopped it. Okay. And right away, I knew there was going to be more. There had to be. If that can happen, that's got to happen again, right? But I just thought there would be more. Like if it was that easy for him to stop it, right?
Yeah.
Why was
it easy?
He just read the cord.
That was easy?
Yeah.
In that moment,
dude,
to think to do that.
He's the weakest dude. You don't think like a stronger dude could have done something else?
Well,
or like a smarter dude could have done something else?
This is a foreign thing. Like nobody knows what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Also, it happened while he was asleep. Some people are
all the more reason why it was like seemed easy to me. He was asleep and he woke up and was like, what? And then that was it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He was like terrified of what was going on.
The panicked moment he must have been having, the thought to wrap something around your arm like that to try and trap it from moving. I don't know if I would have thought of that if I saw something crawling in my arm. I probably would have been running out of the room screaming at the top of my lungs, having a fucking full-blown panic attack.
I guess so. I just figured it would happen. There would be more instances of that happening, right?
Yeah, but like, if we're going to go to the technical like things of the human psyche or like how our body responses, right? Like, the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, you have fight, flight, and you have freeze.
Sure.
Right? So like,
but again, why would this like super meek, non-interesting guy who doesn't seem like a fight guy end up being the guy who fights back and stops it? You know what I mean? And if he can do it,
but he's just smart.
But they didn't set him up like that. They set him up like this meek little nothing guy. Do you know what I mean?
He's meek, but doesn't mean he's not smart.
I guess so. To me, it just seemed like, again, if you're going to talk fight and flight response, there's a lot of guys who seemed like they would have had a way more stronger fight response who would have been able to stop it in other ways. And maybe you'd end up with a guy with an alien foot or an alien dick or something. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
I think it's also heavily implied that there's a lot of them out there that you don't see.
That's also true,
I guess that's true too.
That are just always hiding.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on then. Yeah. So they take over human bodies and they cannibalize them. But then later it's exposed that they don't need to. It's just their instinct to.
Yeah.
Right? And that gets unfolded. They research and learn how to pass as human. And some of them are shitty at it.
Yeah.
And some of them are better at it.
Yeah, for sure. Because they evolve in different speeds and whatever they're exposed to.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Like, I mean, what was it? The dog's not really going to learn how to like read on a computer.
No, perfect. But the dog has to learn how to be a dog.
Yeah.
And that's actually another thing I was going to bring up is they can attach to any species, but then that species can only cannibalize that species, right? So here's my question. Is the alien sentient only because it landed in a human? Because the alien that landed in a dog couldn't talk.
Yeah, I don't think it's...
But Miggy can talk.
Yeah, because...
Without using the person's mouth.
Yeah, I think...
So why wouldn't the alien land in a dog and talk through its arm or talk through its mouth in English?
Yeah,
it's learning from its host.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
but
humans
like Miggy,
can talk, so Miggy can talk.
But I guess Miggy also read books and like looked on the internet and shit.
Yeah, but could also just like examine Shinichi's interior and see, if he has vocal cords, he vibrates them to speak.
Yeah.
Somebody that goes in, an alien or a parasite that goes into a dog.
Yeah.
It can bark.
You're just stuck
it's
at
like,
dog.
Oh, okay,
and that's
it can bark. This thing can bark. I
but
guess
then
I bark.
when it encounters humans, you don't think it would, because are they not smart until they get smart? Is what you're saying?
Well, yeah, like Miggy had to spend all those nights on the computer, reading, learning about human interaction, like soaking up all that information.
So I guess
how's a dog?
The conclusion is whatever species the alien lands in, it assumes that's the dominant species and just tries to be the best at that species.
It doesn't
guess
assume
so,
it's a
yeah.
dominant species. It's the species that they can attach to for now
Yeah.
to prolong their life, hopefully maybe until they can get into the primary species.
Yeah.
My assumption was the dog was a stepping stone
Yeah.
to stay alive until
And it
it
was
could
gonna
go
try and get any-
Yeah,
into
get
a
into
human.
another host. Yeah,
Okay.
because at one
Could
point
be.
too, Mickey says that he can attach to something else, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay, so the other thing about the dog, the last thing is like that was a huge missed opportunity. They could have had some crazy fucking alien animals add to a fight at
Yeah,
one point.
yeah.
It would have been sick.
Imagine a zoo.
Dude, anything,
yeah.
dude. Give me a fucking alien tiger coming out of nowhere. Like,
what I mean.
dude, a bear come out of the woods. How good
Alien
would that be?
crocodile.
The options were endless, and they gave you one dog at the very beginning.
Okay, but-
explained that can happen, and then moved on.
yeah, but would if that did happen, would this not turn into a monster,
Monster
of the week?
It could have, but he it could have, but it also but the fact that they didn't using humans leads me to believe they're smart enough to not fall into that trap. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Even a couple more at various points in the show would have been great.
Or even
I'm
just in
not
that
talking
one
about-
episode. Just
Yeah.
cram it all into one
Exactly.
episode.
I'm
Yeah.
not talking give me a new alien animal every episode. I'm just talking about like use that mechanism that you wrote. It was
Yeah.
great.
Bit of a missed
Dude, you know what it
opportunity.
reminds me of, dude? Old Man Logan and the Venom Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, the sickest shit I've ever seen in a comic book when that thing comes barreling out of the desert.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know what
I
I mean?
agree. I think it would have been cool to see, but I don't think that missed opportunity really takes away anything from the
Yeah.
anime, right?
Yeah.
It would have just been nice.
It
Sure.
would have been nice,
That-
but it's
exactly,
not
I
a
agree.
big deal.
I agree.
It's
Worth
not a big
mentioning
deal.
because how sick would it be?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed.
So let's move to the
Yes.
next. Okay, so they go for the head,
Yeah.
right? Which in turn becomes their weapon. We already established that. Unless multiple parasites merge into one host, right? And then they have like different spots that can like attack,
Yeah.
right? So here's the question I have. If that is so beneficial for them to work together, because in the end, the only guy left in the end, the strongest guy has multiples, which leads me to believe he's the best of them, right? So why wouldn't they
He
all
was
merge?
made.
Why
No,
wouldn't they
but
all merge all the
he
time?
was made.
He was made.
Yeah.
He
yeah,
was
yeah,
he was
yeah,
He was
created.
made,
yeah.
and two,
He was
like,
purpose built.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even so, like if
No,
but
let
there
me
were a
explain
couple
it.
times where different parasites merged into the same host and they're stronger.
Yeah.
So if merging into the same host makes you stronger, wouldn't they always try and merge in the same host? To
But
be
how are
stronger?
they going to teach that to each other?
Yeah.
What's that?
How are they going to teach that to each other?
How did the first ones figure it
No.
out?
Hey,
Chance.
listen here,
Yeah. Circumstance.
boys. Listen here.
Mikey's trying to talk.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to fucking say something.
Yeah.
If you remember in the anime, they switched out who was the leader of that body, right? So you had to be in control of like the hive mind, right? And you had to be the strongest one out of all of them. And in order to do that with multiple, like if like, you know, 3 or 4, whatever, got into a different body,
Yeah.
they would be fighting each other. Each parasite would be fighting each other for supremacy as the host.
Okay.
That's why he was made to see if that could work. And he was the only one. Because I think at one point they moved the head. It was like the younger guy that was controlling the body at one point, right?
I don't know. You're losing me. And this is kind of what I'm getting at about it being
Yeah.
convoluted is this whole concept of merging and like the way they attach to hosts and can mix. It's just like was a little convoluted and not explained that well. And it just kept happening. And I was like kind of lost about that. Do you know what I mean?
I think something to keep in mind is like as we're seeing this unfold, they're
Yeah.
learning all this stuff for the first time as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
They're fresh. This is all experimental stuff. They're all literally trying to just get their feet under them.
Yeah.
And that was an experiment that was kind of masterminded by Ryoko.
Sure.
To try and see what they could create.
Yeah.
So that, you know, like Miki, you know, Goto, like they were literally just experiments. They were
Yeah.
figuring it out.
Yeah.
I'm sure if word had got out to all the other parasites that, hey guys, this is the way to go.
Yeah.
Or if they could talk to all of the forms of them in their little worm shape before
Yeah,
they turn into.
yeah. Then they would.
Then they would
I
be
see
like,
what you're
okay,
saying.
let's be
I see what you're
strategic.
saying.
But how do they even know until they try it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I get it.
Or
Yeah.
if you get somebody like Ryoko who's like so curious,
Yeah.
the way she is,
Yeah.
you know, to mastermind that.
Sure. Okay, I get it.
Great
I guess
character.
if I'm gonna like sum it up in the way it felt just like when that kept happening, it was taking me away from the storyline of the characters and what they were going through, and I was like, "This is confusing, and I don't need this." And you know what I mean? Like, why do they have to do this? Like, they don't have to merge.
But you liked it though.
The show,
Yeah.
generally, yeah. I'm not saying it was perfect though. This is just something that wasn't great about it. Okay, so let's move on. So they can sense each other, right,
Yeah.
within 300 meters or something like that.
Yeah.
And specifically, they sense murderous intent.
Yeah.
But that's not any other intent. Just murderous
Murderous
intent,
intent.
right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's like a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So,
'Cause
so they
that's
can
the whole
identify
point.
if somebody's friend or foe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. Except, okay, I get that. Okay. So
Yeah, I get that.
Here's another thing.
We're good with that one. That one we're good
they
with.
can separate
Yeah.
from their host for brief periods of time without dying,
Yeah,
right?
but they need the nutrients from their main host.
Yeah, but like Miggy a couple times will like break off, right? And
Yeah.
like still be alive for a bit.
Yeah.
And they but the thing is they kept getting killed and shriveling up and dying immediately. So like you think if like that you shoot the host, the like alien would just like separate and like run off and try and find a new host.
But that's what one of them does.
But a lot of them don't. A lot of them get shot and just immediately shrivel up and dry up and die.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I'm an alien and my host gets shot and I can separate, I'm gonna leave.
You're fucking being nitpicky, right?
I am, dude. It's my job. Dude, I watch these shows with a notepad and a pen. Okay.
My rationale there is that
Yeah.
that might be a split second
Yeah.
decision. Either
Yeah.
you can or you can't. And also depending on the level of integration they have with their host.
Yeah.
A fatal shot to their host body could be fatal to them if they're that level of integrated.
Sure. Well,
Right.
they're all the
Or they're
same level
level-
integrated except Miggy, right? Like he's the only one that did anything
Not only
weird. The
just
rest
you
of them
don't
just
know
went to the head and did their thing,
integration,
right?
though,
You
but
don't
like
know that.
level of intelligence, right? Like each one may not
Yeah,
have.
that's
like,
true.
Right?
There were some dumb ones.
There were some very dumb
I'll give you
ones.
that. I'll
right?
give you
Case
that.
by
Okay.
case.
Yeah.
What I'm doing here is just laying out all the different things they can do to show you that like it was kind of weird that there was just all these strange things to do. And you made a good point. They're just figuring it out.
Yeah.
Okay, but they're just like I don't know. There just seemed to be a lot of weird little things they can do, and I was like, just don't have that many things. So like, here's another thing: they can split and multiply into two. Like one
Yeah.
can become two.
Yeah, well, he was like Mickey was trying to figure out how many times he could split himself,
Yeah.
right? And like the fact that he could, the smaller he gets, the dumber he gets.
Yeah, true. Fair enough.
Right?
Okay, and
So,
yeah,
again,
again,
an experiment.
another thing they can do.
Another thing,
Yeah,
another thing they can do.
They have like weird healing powers by like merging, I guess.
Yeah,
like how did that fucking scene go down? We're gonna probably get into it later, but like, that
so
was like,
so from what I
like
remember, he got his whole that fucking hole punched in his chest.
Yeah.
and then so he
Mickey merged with his heart.
Yeah, merged with his heart.
Yeah.
and so that's what started the healing factor and like
Yeah.
moving all the parts.
okay,
and, like,
so they
skins.
have a healing factor.
Yeah,
Okay, that's another thing they can do.
like the way I see it, like a lot of it is kind of like the Venom symbiote, right? Like
Yeah.
it heals you.
It's going to take care of its host.
It's going to take care of its host.
I guess in
It's
the
gonna,
end,
like-
really, what I'm saying is that like they're complicated, and I'm dumb. Maybe that's it.
You
because,
heard it here, guys.
Dude, there was just
you
like
heard it here.
every time
first.
there was a new thing, I had to like figure out how it worked, and like you guys were all like, just accept it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't.
I think
they
they're
do all these
extremely.
weird
I think you're
things.
right. I think they're extremely complex.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's the only reason that they stand up to humans in this narrative
Yeah.
as being
Sure.
interesting because
Fair enough.
they're
makes-
on the same level.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
on that same level of like being or trying to be sentient. They're like kids at first, and
Yeah.
they're growing up and
Yeah.
learning their identity, right?
Sure.
Like eventually they look at like when what's your name gets pregnant and has a
Ryoko.
kid, like, right?
Yeah.
Like what is that to be a mother?
Totally.
Right. So I think that's why it really works.
Yeah, sometimes it did, and sometimes it was like, now what? You know what I mean? Like it's just there were a lot of different things that kept popping up that they can learn, and some of them didn't serve the plot as much as others, and those were the ones I think that were just a little confusing.
Sure.
Okay, so there's a few more things, and then we can move on. So they're like fleshy tentacles. Are they just like open wounds or something? Because at one point, one of them gets like a bunch of paint thinner thrown on him, and he like just. It like bubbles up and starts dying. So is that just like exposed flesh?
Yeah, I think so to a degree.
Yeah?
Like I don't really know that one. I was gonna try to think of something, but
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I
Okay.
can't.
I
really
think
explain
that-
it.
Another weird complex thing
Yeah,
about them.
I think that's like
Yeah.
at that point it's not human
Yeah.
like flesh anymore. It's
Yeah.
it's the parasite's flesh.
Yeah.
and that's why it was reactive to the paint thinner as
Sure.
opposed to human skin.
Okay, yeah.
Because when it's fully extended like that, it's no longer human skin. Really,
Yeah,
it's an
that's
extension
true.
of just the parasite.
Yeah. Okay, I
Matter.
get it. Anyways, it was just like another thing where I was like, okay, I guess they're susceptible to paint thinner specifically or something.
Chemicals.
And she
yeah.
just happened to know. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So another thing, they talk about a directive at a point. They are saying like, we're sent here for a reason or whatever, right? And there's some like back and forth about what it is. And at one point, they think their directive is just to farm humanity for their food.
I think that was their internal struggle because, like, same with like humans, right?
Yeah.
We feel like, what's the meaning of life? Why are we here? What's our purpose, right?
Yeah,
and
I
for
agree.
them, it was the same idea. It's like, okay, when we were these little amoebas, right, going and trying to get in, squirrel our way in, we had this natural instinct, or our natural order of certain things.
Yeah.
But when they became sentient and they started being able to self-reflect and do critical thinking, they didn't really know what that was.
Yeah, and here's another reason why they really didn't know what their directive was, is because they can't fucking reproduce.
Yeah.
And so if you can't reproduce, then like what's the purpose of life? Because like all life as we know it is to like reproduce and like, you know what I mean? Like continuation of the species. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And they can't do that. So it only stands to reason that they're like, well, I guess we're just here to eat. And so like that actually kind of makes them a little terrifying.
Yeah, but this is the thing, right? That's their struggle, right? Because we're here to eat, but they now understand human society and how they would operate, and like taking them down as a foreign like alien or whatever.
Yeah.
And so now they have to learn how to, you know, like camouflage them and assimilate to human society so that they can survive, right? Because even if they are not, you know, reproducing to survive, they still have to. Their instinct is still to survive to a degree.
Yeah,
right.
True, 100%. And actually, that was another weird thing I thought too. Is like they like go into politics. In order to like try and farm humans better, I guess, which was strange to me because I was like, wouldn't it be better to just stay anonymous and keep murdering the way you're doing it? Because you're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, but
They're
there's
doing
always
a pretty good job.
Yeah,
you know
but
what I mean?
but here's the thing, right?
You go into politics and now you're on TV.
Yeah.
Now you're at risk of being exposed.
Well, okay,
right?
so we've got curious parasites.
Yeah.
Right? Who wants to know what that's probably like?
Yeah.
Also, they're very like especially Miggy, right, is all about efficiency and logic.
Yeah.
Right? So like why wouldn't you want to learn how, like we do it too in our regular society. We have farm fish instead of getting like wild fish, right?
That's true. Yeah.
You know, like we do it like if they're a representation of humans.
Yeah.
And they address that it is a risky play.
Yeah.
They talk about it in the anime that like that's risky for them to be
It's
doing
fucking
that.
ballsy. Yeah.
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 And like I think even Miggy says like, oh yeah, no, their boss is not going to like that this is happening.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, and then in the end, when they finally land on their directive in the end, I think the few of them that are left decide like, oh, we're actually here to cull humanity because humanity's a plague on the earth. You know, we're here to kill you because you're polluting the earth, and the earth is ours now. Which is like, okay, I guess, yeah. It's like
we're here on behalf of the earth.
Yeah.
To take you away.
Yeah.
Because you are the parasite.
It's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Dude.
fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But I love animes and concepts like that, doomsday kind of things.
Yeah.
Right, because like it's true. Like right now, if you look at the human race, like especially in the world we live in, right, like we're overpopulated,
Dude, yeah.
right, like we're
100%.
using up all these resources. I mean,
Yeah.
the Earth is going to be here at the end of the day, even if we're not here.
Totally.
But it's how we're treating it to, you know, for our own survival.
Yeah.
How
Right.
human centric our conservation efforts really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about these aliens is like the thing you don't want to say is like, they're not wrong.
Yeah. Because they don't think we're special.
Yeah. Because we're not.
Because we're not.
Yeah, exactly.
we're not.
Not only are we not special, but we're also fucking a lot of shit up.
Yeah.
If anything, we're special in the wrong way, the opposite way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, Thanos actually had something going.
Yeah.
Always, man.
Yeah.
Thanos is right. Thanos had a
Yeah,
point.
the alien,
Thanos had a point.
the parasites actually have a good idea. Okay, so
Team Miggy.
let's move. We've talked about a lot of what the parasites can do. I think we have as best of an understanding as we're going to have, including all the weird ones that like whatever. So let's talk about what I think was the real weakest part of the show, and that's fucking Shinichi and Murano's romance. From top to bottom,
Why
is the dumbest shit, dude.
Okay, so first of all, they're in high school.
Yeah,
They're
I get
awkward
that.
as fuck.
And I had to keep reminding myself that over and over and over and over again. So like episode 1,
Okay.
or episode 2, maybe I can't remember. He is Miggy and grabs her boob, right? And then the next day he's like good at basketball, and she's like, "Okay, I like you now. You're good."
Yeah. Well, like
I was like,
She gets over it way too quick.
oh my god.
Yeah.
And then she keeps asking him because he's crazy as far as she's concerned. He keeps showing up and like yelling or talking to his hand or like talking to this other girl every time she seems to catch him talking to this other girl, and she keeps like coming back to him and asking him are you or who are you? And like clearly she knows something's fucked up about him, but she just constantly is still coming around. Like I don't even know why she likes him.
So hopeless.
I can't figure out why, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's simping and like. But like
the big thing also, you don't know how far they go back.
Yeah, they go back.
They actually did it. To me, they made it seem as if they like barely talk. Because in the first episode, he talks to her and it's as if they're like aren't on speaking terms.
Okay, well, first of all,
it's like they heard of each other at first.
From my understanding, the first thing that attracted her to Shinichi was how sweet he was.
Yeah.
Right? And then also you got to understand there's a mysterious allure to him because he's kind of weird and quirky.
Yeah.
But she also knows that there's a soft side to him.
It just seemed like every time they encountered each other, he's fucking crazy. And so again, like allure aside, and like even the sweetness, like he's not sweet anymore.
Yeah, again,
like get the fuck out of there, man.
When we were in high school, like how fucking confused were we? Are we gonna be like straightforward and logical thinking, or are we gonna be emotional and like
who didn't chase the wrong person in high school?
at some point,
Okay.
man? Right? Like, and the other thing too, again, like, granted, this could have been a great anime, you know, even if they weren't in high school. Like, I think honestly, they should just not have been in high school. They could have just been in the workforce, whatever.
It doesn't do a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't add to it.
Yeah.
Right. Other than like maybe some additional like level of trauma.
Yeah.
Right. Like having like the mom.
They're
but at the
young
same-
people.
Yeah, for young people.
Yeah.
But like other than that, like I think the romance part, even as adults, right? Sometimes it's hard to navigate
Yeah.
a relationship, like because you're afraid to get hurt or
Yeah.
whatever.
Or
Right.
your hands talking to you.
Yeah. Yeah, like aliens are trying to kill you.
That
with
makes
their
relationships hard.
fleshy axe on
Yeah.
blades. Okay, so here's the real reason why I dislike their relationship. Because yes, I found it very annoying. But you're right, they're in high school.
Yeah.
And you have to forgive a lot of the weirdness because they're in high school. But what bothered me the most about it is they used it as a tool to humanize Shinichi because he's flip-flopping back between am I an alien, am I a human? And I just think it was not a good tool compared to some of the other ones they used, which were very strong tools. And they really grasped onto this Murano relationship, especially in the end when they bang and they get together as if it's
Murano.
like, as if they decide that it's the be-all and end-all for his humanization. And to me, it was really Ryoku and Kana who humanized him more than anybody else.
Yeah, but at the same time, I would argue that but that's being a human, like having a relationship and a love like that is part of being human,
I guess so.
right? Like you can't not have that.
You can fully not have that and still be human.
Well, yes, but as far as a big part of what humans long for, regardless, even if you've never had a partner in your life, you've thought about it. You want to know what it's like to be loved and to by somebody.
I just think they leaned into it too much, and the other two were stronger humanizing factors, big time. For me, big time.
Well, I would agree that they definitely hit harder.
Yeah. Okay. We can get into one of them now because that's the next thing on my list is to talk about Ryoko and her whole story arc. Okay. So when you first,
boy, that's my girl.
some of the fan. So
We know who Senpai's waifu is.
because she's
chop
not a high
me up
school girl.
anytime.
Yeah. She's not a high school girl. She's
right.
the only one.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you first meet her and she's like a nude silhouette,
Yeah.
right, with another parasite, and right away I'm like, they're setting up a villain right away, which was smart because as we all know now, and this is like spoiler before we even get into it, is she flip flops, and in the end she's not a villain.
No.
Which was cool because when you first meet her, I'm sure everyone felt the same. Like, this is the bad guy of the show now. This is the one.
100%.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And so, like, right away, you start realizing that she's different from the other parasites because she's like approaching Shinichi and talking to him one-on-one and having these conversations with him about what being a parasite is, right? Where none of all the other ones are just eating motherfuckers, right? So she
had the same curiosity that Miggy had.
yeah, but you assume it's like all nefarious and all malicious, which at first it kind of is.
It comes off that way because it violates our humanity and our sense of what is right or wrong,
Yeah.
right?
Totally, yeah.
But for
And
her,
it calls that out hard
Yeah.
out of the gate. But then as you sit with it longer and as you sit with the character longer, you're like, yo, this is the most human character
Yeah.
I have ever seen.
And
like,
then the big one that makes her human is she disappears for a while for some reason. They close her arc off and then bring it back, and now she's preggers.
Yeah.
With a human baby.
well, that's the thing, right?
That's the big move for her.
Because she's treating humans because she's not human, right?
Yeah.
She just happens to be in a human body,
Right.
And she's treating humans as cattle, like we treat actual cattle.
You know, I would say way,
like,
she's less of a farmer and more of a scientist.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So she's not treating them like cattle to raise them and eat them. She's treating them like cattle as to like prod them and see how they work.
She even said she wants to dissect Shinichi.
Yeah. Which is the reason she gets preggers in the first place. Just like, I just want to see what happens.
Yeah, it's like,
so I fucked this guy, and now I have a human inside me.
And now I'm going to see what I can do with this baby at some point.
That's the big thing for me too. Is right away I was
scene.
like, they're going to kill this baby, and I'm going to lose my fucking shit. Because at that point already, I was like, I wouldn't put it past the show.
With the dog stuff out of the gate, man.
Yeah. And like just the way they're killing people is so violent and gruesome and dark that I'm like, they'll kill baby.
Yeah.
Honestly, anime will do that.
Yeah.
Anime will do that.
I'm glad they didn't, because I probably would have lost my shit, to be honest with you. I probably would have had a hard time with that.
Yeah.
That's true. As a dad.
I think that really that's the reason. You know what I mean?
Dad,
like,
no, I feel you, but it's like, I love that they didn't, and the fact that they brought in how much more human she actually is. Actually, I would even argue that this woman is more human than the actual humans.
Some of them, for sure, right?
Because
because she has that curiosity and that like that like spark in her life. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like a lot of the other humans in the show are just like going about their daily motions and living their lives, right? I think they did a great job building up her turn to humanity. And what's interesting was at first I was like disappointed that I could see it coming. I was like, okay, I see where you're going with this now. I see. But then afterwards I thought about it and I was like, yeah, but I'd be much more upset if she just like all of a sudden was like, oh, I'm good actually. Here, take my baby, please. Please take my baby. Do you know what I mean? And that's something I learned in that scene from the show.
Or like if she just dissected her own child.
That would fuck me up. But what I learned in this part of the show is that they're really good at setting up big moments. Okay, they like build to them in a way that is like enjoyable to watch. And again, at first I was annoyed that it was so obvious, but then I was like, it's not so much obvious as it is like unfolding in front of me in a nice way. Do you know what I mean? So I really enjoyed that. She does that move where they split in two. Right. And she, again, the one becomes dumb and starts running around all crazy.
Yeah.
And, but she does it for like a weird human reason, because she actually does it in order to get the parasites to kill some of each other. Right. And she like does, because they can sense, this was crazy cool to me, because they can sense the murderous intent. She like creates like a fog of murderous intent so they can't find her.
That's right. So they can't pinpoint.
That was
exactly
fucking sick. Fucking sick.
Dude. The reveal for that was crazy. The guy's just like, wait a second, you thought of that before you split.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, bitch, I did.
And you just took a fucking like a leap into it and was like, I hope this works out in the end.
It worked out perfectly.
And it did, yeah. So that was sick. And then, in the end, her death scene was like really intense, dude.
Yeah, man, it was sad.
She dies as a martyr, as an act of humanity. And again, this is why I think she's a much stronger humanizing factor for Shinichi, dude. That moment when he gives her the baby and when
makes him cry again.
And he realizes that her as a full-on parasite can be so human. He's like, well, I guess I'm human then. You know what I mean?
Or at least it's in my hands.
Yeah, exactly.
To decide.
She modeled the fact that just because you're a parasite doesn't mean you're not human.
Yeah,
right?
It's the choice, right?
Like humanity is not unique to humans. It can be found.
Not anymore, apparently.
Exactly. Yeah. It can be learned. It can be shown.
That's the thing, right? Like a lot of what we do, like growing up, like we'll get into some psychology, but of like, you know, as kids, we get learned behavior, right? Like there's learned behavior that happens. We learn from our parents, like even the subtle things of how to treat each other, right? Like we just absorb everything, right? And so I think for that, like that's what really like highlights us as humans, right? And then later in life, you know, we kind of forget that being a human is almost a choice. Right. Like, and what kind of human we want to be is a choice.
For sure.
Right. I mean, granted, I like kids have a pass all day long to a degree with me.
Sure.
Right. Because they just don't know any better, or they haven't been
They've got a long life of learning ahead of them.
Right. Or like they just haven't been shown, or they're a product of, you know, an environment or, you know, toxic relationships that might have, you know, turn their behaviors a certain way.
They're innocent.
That's right. But at the end of the day, once you're an adult, like especially in your late 20s, like at some point you got to start self-reflecting, right, and start questioning some of that. I think, like, that's.
But
really,
you could say also too that self-reflecting is also a learned behavior. Like not everyone knows how to self-reflect well. Do you know what I mean?
Agreed. But at some point too, you know, you get to a point in life like Eric Erickson. There's different stages, right? Like you start learning like what is your identity. You start questioning those things. It just naturally happens. We all do it.
Sure.
Right. And that's the point where either people are going to actually dive deep into it, or not give it too much thought because they've already accepted certain things.
Totally. And I think
or been socially conditioned a certain way.
Totally. And to bring it back to the show, that's where we were with Shinichi when he meets Ryoku and she's getting literally shot and holding her baby. And up until then, he's pretty much like, I guess I'm not human anymore. I'm an alien now. Right. And then she models to him this humanity that he didn't think he could achieve anymore. And that opened up the door for him to go down that path. Right. And so, yeah, that was, again, great scene. I love the flip flop of Shinichi's character. And that was one of the biggest moments in it for me. So now we can move on to talk about another one of the biggest moments. And now we're going to talk about Kana. Who I actually really liked as a character, to be honest with you. At first, she's kind of just the bad girl to Murano's good girl. And you can laugh every time I say her fucking name if you want. But then somehow she can sense the parasites without being one. And they don't explain that. Ever. They just use it as a mechanism to further this weird love triangle because she thinks it's like a link to her and Shinichi. And then it leads her to her eventual death. But like, why can she do that?
So I think the reason, even though it's not explained, is because parasites and humans and animals all have instincts.
Sure.
Right? Where we can kind of sense certain things. And she just happened to have a higher sense in her instinct.
But if that's the case, then why was she always hanging out with that other fucking dickhead the whole time?
Well,
why couldn't she sense that guy was a dickhead and not hang out with him?
But it's not the same kind of like your murderous intent, right? Like you can.
But that guy did have murderous intent. Miggy sensed it.
Yeah, but not towards Kana.
I guess so.
Right? Like I mean, also she's in high school.
But Kana also sensed murderous intent on people when it wasn't towards them. That's how she died.
Okay, that's also fair.
I'm just poking holes in your theory here, dude.
I think that just as I had mentioned that like the parasites themselves are new and figuring all of this out. As they come along, new and unexpected things might pop up in humans in their relationship with this creature. You know what I mean? So it's not being explained because they have no idea what this is all about. They don't see it until much later in the show when they're finally collecting people and they're collecting psychics and they're collecting serial killers.
He's good.
And they're trying to break into it.
I'm not as good as
your theory was bullshit, dude.
This is all brand new shit to them too. So Kana has no idea. She's never told anybody. She has no reference point as to what's happening with her or why she can sense what she senses.
So here's the thing though, dude.
She like her sense of feeling, it like for other parasites is the same sense that she gets from Shinichi, right? So
she just thinks it's something weird.
She can't distinguish between
and that's
another
the thing
parasite,
though is she thinks she can, and that's why she dies in the end because she's like, of course I'll be able to find him, and she goes
always
off and
tell him apart,
and she follows the thing, and then she's fucking dead. Right, which was kind of crazy. And again, what happened right before she died is Shinichi like lays it all out for her and fills her in on everything and tells her everything, right? Which was like he needed to unload that on somebody. And because he unloaded that on her and then she dies, we get another humanizing factor for Shinichi because he just connected with a human being and then had that taken away for us. So that sense of loss, right, brings him back to humanity big time. Real big time.
And same with his relationship and what happened with Mom.
Yeah.
Right? Like
totally.
that was huge.
Yeah, which actually I think might be the next thing we're going to talk about. But before we get to that, I want to point out that this Kana's death here, I always say that the hallmark of a really good show is killing a main character when I don't see it coming. And this fucked me up in that regard, dude. Did not see that coming.
I do agree with you there.
Yeah.
I do agree. I like when they commit.
Yeah.
I like when they commit to stuff like that because it's been like, it's hard when it's like that comic book thing where like you kill off a superhero and they always bring them back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Always. No such thing as permadeath.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And the nice thing about manga and like anime, they actually will follow through sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, and they did, and it was intense. And I guess Ryoku as well too, but for some reason this death was more impactful for me in that regard, as far as killing a main character.
Maybe because she was like a teenager?
Maybe. I think part of it
she
too
deserved it less.
She deserved it less. Yeah, she's human, which is funny because we talk about humans and aliens and what it means to be human, but the fact that she was human maybe was a bit more real. And I think also Shinichi had more of a connection with her than he did with Ryoku because his connection with Ryoku was not that developed.
No. And it was their final moments.
Exactly. And with Kana, they had like a build up. It was slow, and then it got really big, and then she died. And here's another interesting thing about that is right after she died, he has this I'm not human moment where he goes on a murderous rampage without Miggy even. He fucking kills that parasite, dude.
Yeah.
Right? Which
Yeah.
is like, in that moment, he's like, well, now what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this flip-flop was intense.
There's a real Aaron Yeager moment there.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You smell like a baka.
I don't know what that is. Okay, so another point before we move on to Shinichi's mom. You guys fucking have your silly jokes that I don't understand.
I barely get that one. I think that's an old video Mikey sent me a few weeks
Okay.
ago.
Yeah, there's like a trend that was happening on Instagram or TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, it just, yeah, anyway.
Okay, let me close this off. So
For
Kana,
the Shweebs that know it, you know it.
dude. Okay, Kana and Ryoku.
Yeah.
We just to me, they're the two most humanizing factors for Shinichi. And what I realized, not until I was making my notes, that they're actually like direct counterparts to each other, because like Ryoku is a parasite that humanizes him, and Kana is a human that in the end dehumanizes him, because in her death, he goes in a rampage and goes full on alien on that alien.
I would disagree there.
You think
because
so?
think about how violent humans are. Right? Like
It's a very human reaction.
that's a very human reaction.
guess
He
so.
just used his
Yeah.
hyper strength.
Yeah.
To explode it
but
through the wall.
in this specific scenario, when he talks about alien versus human in himself, it's the murderous and the violence that he talks about as alien. Right. So as far as he's concerned, when he goes into that beast mode and kills that guy, he's not thinking of that as a human response. Like, yes, we can acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But he's thinking, well, I'm gone now.
Yeah,
I'm
but
lost.
but that's
Do you know
also
what I mean?
a very human response where you question your motives,
Sure.
where you question your anger, where you go into a blind rage, right? Like, I mean, granted, there's a lot of people who don't have that same, level of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Right. So like people who go blind rage, they black out, and all of a sudden they see they punched holes in the wall and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think everything that Shinichi has done, right, and what the parasites are doing just highlights how human everything and everyone really is.
Sure.
Like, you're a big Star Wars fan, right?
Big time, yeah.
Right? Like, and you see all these aliens and you realize how human these aliens really are,
Yeah.
because they're written by humans, because the only way to sympathize with anything is to humanize it to a degree, right?
Yeah, okay, I'm with you. I agree.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'll phrase it differently. Instead of their counterparts because one humanizes and one dehumanizes, maybe the way it is they both humanize, but one through like an act of peace and one through like an act of rage.
Yeah.
Well, one
right?
stabilizes and one destabilizes.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's the dichotomy. And
But you
that's
wouldn't
the
expect the destabilization to come from the human relationship,
Yeah.
and the stabilization to be coming at the hands of a parasite.
Totally. Which is
Yeah.
kind of the brilliance of the show, because in the end, it's about how shitty humans are, and the aliens come in shitty, but in the end, they kind of have this altruistic motive.
This healing factor on,
Yeah.
on him and
Yeah,
the whole
Well,
story.
and they want to help. They want to save the Earth, and like, yes,
Yeah.
okay, it's a little bit like Skynet. They're going to
Yeah.
take out all the humans to save the Earth,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the point of the show is humans are shit, and we're ruining the Earth. You know what I mean?
that's the thing, right? Because we are, like, a lot of the time we're very emotional, and it takes a lot of critical thinking, self-awareness to combat that to a degree, right? Or learn how to control that, right? Where parasites are coming in totally emotionless,
Yeah, true.
right?
Yeah.
They just have one instinct, is to survive.
Yeah.
How to survive, eat, right? And then that's it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Interesting. That is the dichotomy of the show. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Dude. It really is interesting. Okay, let's move to the next main thing: the Shinichi's mom arc and the merger with Miggy.
Oh, yes.
So this was another huge moment, right?
Yeah.
So you get a lot of backstory on the mom situation with the burning oil or whatever. And again, that's just like telling me that this show's amazing at setting up big moments. They take a lot of time, which I appreciate. You know what I mean? And this arc was just fucking heart-wrenching, dude. Like, to the point where just suddenly his mom is decapitated out of nowhere, dude. And that actually, we talked about Kana and we talked about Ryoku, but this is the dark moment that happens first, right at the very beginning.
That's
And
the big trauma.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
working backwards right now in big moments.
I know, but
Yeah.
that's because I went in order of characterizing.
I know.
So again, this gives us another character point for Shinichi, where he has a massive savior complex. You know what I mean? That's a big thing about him. He wants to kill them all because they killed his mom, right? He's
Aaron
thinking-
Yeager.
Yeah, and he's like this hero because he has this like unique. I'm not going to ignore you. He has this unique perspective and this unique position where he is not fully parasite, but he has the powers of the parasite.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so now he's like this like savior, right? Which was kind of really interesting.
And that was a big part of his character development, especially later on when he becomes like this stoic, like teenager.
Totally.
Right?
And I mean, that character switch happens fast and then slow. So like literally like within a day after the merge, he's like cool, strong, whatever, Shinichi. And then they slowly build that they catch him up mentally slowly, right? Which I thought was kind of cool. Another thing about the savior complex, it's like an Inuyasha thing, right? Because Inuyasha is a demon who protects humans from demons. And so now we have Shinichi, who is like a parasite who wants to kill all the parasites to protect humanity, right? Which I thought was kind of a neat correlation, considering like it's a title we covered pretty recently.
Yeah.
So again, we talked earlier about the merger and how I was confused about that. I don't think we need to get into that again.
No.
Except for the fact that like after they merge, now we have like a superhuman with a super parasite powers. Like merging them made them both better at themselves. Like, you know what I mean?
More integrated.
Yeah.
What's that?
They're more integrated now.
Yeah, it just was, again, like, I don't know how Miggy got more powerful from that. All he got was a human body. But now he's like this super powered alien. Do you know what I mean?
I think also that's what humanized Miggy even more. Right, I think that's the integration helped with that. Right,
No, I know, but I'm talking about his just like strength and power. Like he became like way more capable of like fucking up other parasites after that. But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, no, Shinichi did.
Yeah,
Shinichi got the benefit.
Yeah.
Migi really kind of stayed the
Yeah,
same.
that's what I'm
generally.
thinking, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, like
Shinichi, yeah, because Shinichi.
what difference does he really have after that merger? Migi himself.
I guess not that much, man. I don't know. It just seemed like they were like a way more effective unit. But you're right. Maybe it's because now Shinichi has like super hearing and is like super fast and can jump really high.
He's got
that was his new moves.
He's got Migi's particles and DNA all throughout him.
All through his heart, yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, because Miggy falls asleep, right?
For 4 fucking hours at a time.
Yeah.
Which is like very convenient also as a plot point for the show.
It totally
It really helps them drive the plot.
It does.
I feel like that was one of those.
Hey guys, we need some more tense moments. How do we get that?
Got it? Yeah. He's just going to fall asleep for a little while.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, so Shinichi had to learn how to protect himself.
Yeah.
So he had that extra bit of strength.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think if anything, Migi had to like that was his buff.
Yeah.
Or not buff. His nerf.
His what?
It's a video game term.
Okay.
So for my video game list,
Like a
Fucking
debuff,
nerds.
like
You guys
a
are nerds.
like a downgrade.
Yeah, downgrade.
Okay.
Debuff.
I see
you
what
know
you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. One more thing I want to talk about this arc that I thought was kind of interesting is the dad has an interesting part in all this because at first he's like very like he denies everything. He's like, oh, she's just missing or whatever. And then when he thinks when he finally like she's dead, he like gets all drunk and shit. And if we're talking about like defining what it is to be human, he has a very human response to the whole situation.
Yeah, he goes through all the stages of
Totally.
grief.
To the point
Yeah.
where like you saw a fucking alien monster and it's very possible that you're just going to think you didn't see that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then like, that was a crazy arc. I was like feeling some real feels with him, to be honest with you.
Nice.
I like that. Okay, so let's talk about like towards the ending now. So they do like a little time jump.
Yeah.
Right.
a
And
little
now
bit.
all of a sudden the military knows about everything and they do this fucking stupid pulling the hair mechanism they built into the show, which like, I get why, but also like, how are you going to integrate that into a population of humans that fast? Because the way they explained it, they're like, oh, a fad started.
Yeah.
When you greet someone, you pull a hair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they didn't tell everyone, make sure it doesn't wiggle. They just say, pull the hair. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think they.
I think
do
you would
is-
know if
yeah,
that was
yeah,
fucking-
if
yeah.
they,
Squirming in
you know,
your
it starts
hand.
squirming with a little mouth on it.
Yeah.
Something's
Right.
up.
Like,
But at the
something's
time,
off.
but at the time when they spread the pull a hair fad, they weren't telling the population about the parasites yet.
No, not yet.
Right? So they're just like, hey, by the way, from now on, don't shake hands, pull a hair.
If something weird happens, run.
They don't even get that far. They
Right.
just say pull a hair.
Yeah.
So to me, that was like a weird, like disjointed plot point.
But you know what though? I think that's okay because when you think of if something's being integrated into a current society, right?
Yeah.
And you tell them, "Hey, if you pull this hair,"
They didn't tell them that, though.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If you did tell them,
Yeah.
it either people are going to not believe you,
I get you.
right, or
Yeah.
they're going to be like, "This is stupid."
But they didn't explain to me how the hair pulling fad spread. Like nobody is going to believe if the government just says, hey, start pulling hairs.
Okay, this is a
No one's
point
gonna
where
do
you're just
that.
gonna fucking accept it, okay? Right? Like the time
Is that the first accepted?
From this episode, it might
I
be.
think so.
Wow,
from this episode,
we're
maybe.
pretty far in.
Like,
Holy shit.
this is the time skips happen in anime.
Yeah.
And they happen in everything.
Yeah.
But like, just fucking accept this one. Just
No. Okay, here's another thing that we're talking. We touched on briefly. We can touch on it briefly now. Is we right here and now we get some interesting COVID vibes.
Yeah.
And, okay, because at one point the one girl goes to her brother who like has the sketch on his table, and she's like, I'm super scared. I saw one or whatever or something like that, and he's like, to be honest with you, he's like, compared to our population, there's very few of them. You're probably not even going to run into one, which I think is like a very strong rhetoric these days with COVID, where people are kind of just like, there's cases, but like, you can you're probably fine. You're probably not going to get it. Right. Yeah. Which is funny because then you do. And next thing you know, your head's unraveling and it's got fleshy tentacles with blades on them. So that's not how COVID works, but like, you know what I mean?
I mean,
As a
it might as
metaphor.
well for.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move to the ending, which I think was very fucking strong, dude. The ending of the show was like, I was no longer watching an alien monster movie, and now I was watching like a solid action movie. Okay, like there's like military operations going down and sieges happening in buildings. You know what I mean? Really was fucking enjoying this this whole ending. It was like watching a movie. And suddenly now there was like a weird shift with Miggy where he's like just down for culling parasites. They don't talk about it. He's just like, yeah, let's get them all. You know what I mean? And it doesn't even seem like survival anymore. It seems like this is what we're doing now. Which was fine to me. It just seemed like a jump, but they also did like a time jump.
But
so I'm
again,
like, okay, they had a conversation. Or
I
whatever.
think the other thing too is like, especially when at the end where, Miggy and Shinichi are having that like subconscious like dream conversation. Yeah. Right. So like if they've integrated and merged.
Yeah.
So
you start
much
to assume that they're like their thoughts also and their
Yeah.
like mentality as well too.
Right. So
their subconsciouses were intertwined.
Yeah.
They talk to each other in their dreams all the time.
For sure. Yeah.
It's crazy how it like that's some serious next level integration.
Yeah.
I mean, Miggy never got the brain, but like,
Yeah.
Miggy
That's
got
another
the
thing
brain.
about me though too is like
he didn't get the brain, but he got the brain.
got the brain.
There's
He got
another
the
thought,
brain.
just to backpedal a little bit, because when he merged with the heart at that point, I'm like, he can separate. Like, why didn't he ever just separate and go for another brain, or why didn't he just try and like go again for Shinichi's brain? Because if he can separate and try again with other humans, why couldn't he just separate and try again with Shinichi and go for the brain that time?
I think he explained that once they form in a certain body part or a certain limb, that's it.
They don't though, because
Miggy says that he's just like if I could go for your brain, I would.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like I can't.
Like,
though.
he's
'Cause he's like
really
once I
rooted in.
got stopped.
Yeah.
And I resorted to your hand.
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
like
yeah.
that was it for me.
Okay.
There was no shot beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It just seemed like a disconnect because he did explain that he could give a shot at merging with another human being. Right. And so in my head, I'm like, why wouldn't you just like separate and try again with Shinichi and get in that brain there? Because that's what you want.
But I don't think even if he went to another human, I don't think he could get their
He
brain.
did. He said he could. He said it's risky though because it might reject you.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I'm saying, but
But that's
I'm
what
saying,
happened to the mom, right? Because they.
Yeah. Because
Right?
then she got into
rejected.
another
That's
body. and got
right, that's
rejected.
right, that's right,
But with
that's right.
Miggy, he knows he's already been in Shinichi. I'm like, don't you think the chances are better that if you went for the head, you'd probably just get in and be fine?
Yeah, but like.
Anyways,
Yeah.
we don't have to dwell on that. It was just a thing I noticed. Anyways, okay. So, we're back at the ending, and there's this siege in this government building, right? And we meet this crazy fucking like parasite hunter, military police guy with completely reckless abandon, no respect for human life.
Such an idiot.
He's just murdering people, dude. He's like, you're probably an alien. Bah, bah, bah. And then he gets the mayor, who we all think is an alien, and then he's not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how are these fucking aliens convincing this regular ass dude to join these fucking fleshy alien head tentacle people like that? That was a little confusing for me. I was like, nobody's going along with that plan. Nobody's going along with that plan. But they just wrote that in, I think, for shock factor, I think.
Yeah. Subversion of expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which, again, not my favorite considering this is like a pretty smart show. And everything else seemed pretty smart and well thought out. And that one didn't for me.
Yeah, but I mean, again, like I think the critical eye that you're looking at this kind of shit with, right? You get so like nitpicky with so much stuff. There's always going to be some sort of bad writing that's involved, or like there's always going to be like with anything, right? You can always pick out one thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
And I'm doing that.
You piece of shit.
That's why I'm here, dude. That's why I'm here, to be a piece of shit to you. Okay, so now Miggy's dead.
yeah.
right? That happens. And that was pretty shocking. But also at the same time, nobody thinks Mickey's dead.
Yeah.
Right? None of you think Mickey's dead.
No, there's no way.
And then Shinichi runs away. And please explain to me this weird scene with this old lady.
Dude.
Why is that happening at all, dude?
I don't know.
Like, I guess all I can think of is like, okay, they're just trying to give him another humanizing factor right before
Exactly.
the
I
final
think that was
showdown.
totally it.
And again,
just
it just
to drive
was
the
like,
point home.
it just was a bit blunt and not like necessary. Like I was
You know
already
what?
all
It
in
was
with
so
Shinichi's redemption.
heavy-handed, dude. It was so
it's,
heavy-handed.
it's again. I think they just couldn't get away. Like it was, they couldn't get away from a trope.
Yeah.
right. Like there's always in a lot
They
of
could, though.
anime.
They could just choose to get away from the
They
trope.
could choose not to,
Yeah.
but like again, just to drive the point home, right? There's always gonna be that weird scene with an old person. Like I mean, I've had it happen in my life. Right?
You've just been taken in by an old lady and fed and housed for a little while when you're down on your luck. Like,
just
She tries to somehow weirdly claim you and not let
Yeah.
you leave,
Yeah.
and just
No,
like
but
have some
you just
weird
connect
ownership.
with people. Like I remember, I was sitting at the fracture clinic, and because I broke my knee, and this old man was sitting beside me, and we just like shared this weird moment of connecting with our stories, where he was there because he was fucking half his body was hurt and damaged from a canister being blown up.
that's intense.
Right, and
That's an
then
intense story.
you know what I'm saying. So I'm like,
and I believe that happens in real life.
yeah.
It's just that in this scene, dude. Because we're
I
talking.
really like that old lady.
Okay,
Okay,
I-
I thought she was sweet and endearing.
I thought she was kind of like grouchy and like kind of bothersome, to be honest with you. And the whole scene was, again, I was already all in on Shinichi's redemption arc. I was already all in on that. I didn't need this. In the end, all it introduced for me was the weird little polluted town with the garbage pile that ended up giving him the leg up to beat the bad guy in the end. Right. And that's all it really did for me. I don't know, dude. It was weird. And yeah, I feel like what they were trying to do, we talked Star Wars.
Yes.
There's something that always bothered me in Star Wars when Disney bought it and they introduced Ahsoka, Anakin's Padawan.
Yeah.
Because I guess like they weren't convinced that Anakin's turn to the dark side was believable enough. So they gave him a Padawan with the sole purpose of killing her so that he could turn extra dark. And I feel like they were just kind of doing the opposite here, where they're like, let's just give him more reasons to be more human, more reasons to care about humanity. In the end, let's give him one more thing just so that people are all in. You know what
Also, I think it was great because it really gave him like a breather. Right? Like you've seen him go through trauma after trauma after trauma.
Yeah.
Right? And like these intense situations where he's fighting other parasites. And you finally see this kid who's gone through so much finally just have a chance, like a break.
Yeah. And you know what is interesting when you put it that way? My brain goes, and the main thing about that scene that you don't even think about while you're watching it is there's no Miggy. It's just him by himself.
Yeah.
So you're onto something there.
Yeah.
You're onto something there.
I think it was also just like, again, to build up like the tension of like him not having Miggy, and then like just them really kind of drawing out that isolated feeling that he had, and then building up to the great reveal, of course, of when Miggy catches.
Totally.
Hey.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He comes back
dude.
and he just goes, hey.
Hey.
I love that. And it gives him a chance because it's the only chance he'll ever have, as far as a viewer's concerned, for him to be human minus the parasite completely. So for a couple episodes there, you think maybe this is what his life's going to be like. Do you know what I mean? And then in the end, like Miggy comes back. They beat the fucking guy, and then Miggy's like, I'm just going to go think for the rest of my life. And so he ends up without Miggy in the end, but also not really because of that last episode.
Integrated, yeah.
Right.
But that's the other thing, right? This is, I feel like it was a nice way of writing it because it's the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Right? Like, right? It was high octane for so long. You got a break from it. You got that calm before the storm, before the huge climax happens.
It just, I think Jay put it really well. It just seemed heavy-handed, a little blunt, a little abrupt. You know what I mean? And yeah, okay, I get the purpose of a calm before the storm, but I'm just not 100% sure I needed it.
You may not have needed it.
You needed
but
it, though.
I needed it.
Yeah, because you were stressed out. And you needed someone to hold your hand through that last battle scene.
No more holding hands.
That's what you needed.
Last episode taught me I can't trust you.
It's okay, dude. It's okay, dude. I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
I think what I would have preferred there is like if you wanted like a calm before the storm, send Shinichi back to like school with one hand.
Sure.
Send him back to his real life with one arm.
Yeah.
See everybody reacting to that and him coming to terms with that being his life.
That doesn't seem like a calm before the storm. That sounds like a stressed out high school kid.
But as far as like fighting parasites, it's definitely a calm before the storm.
And it's also like
in comparison,
like a
maybe.
vision of an alternate ending. Like, what if Mickey doesn't come back? This is how it ends. This is what the rest of his life is like.
And then
You know what I
that
mean?
makes him lose his shit and be like, nah, fuck this. I'm
Yeah.
going to kill that goddamn thing because my life here is shit.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
cares if I die? I'm going to go for it.
Hey,
Then he runs off.
he's good.
and then he goes
Yeah,
and
he's
gets
on
it.
point.
You're not
this
as
episode.
good. You're not as good as him.
Yeah, I'm not
I
on
just
point with
watched this. Like, I finished watching the show today.
fair
It's
enough.
very fresh.
Okay, let's.
I also really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it was really good. Okay, let's finish off by talking about the last episode because the last episode was pretty interesting to close the show off on. So, like, the main bad guy's dead.
Yep.
Right, and Miki's gone.
Yep.
And now we're in Shinichi's regular life now, the
Yeah.
real ending, right? And so him and Murno are now like an item, which like okay, and then they fuck, which is like I guess okay, fine. And then the murderer guy, we didn't even mention him yet, right? He's like a real human murderer, not like a parasite murderer.
Serial killer.
Serial killer,
really.
yeah,
And
he's
he
a-
shows up again.
Yep.
And only in the end, he only shows up to bring Miki back. There's no other reason for him in that last episode, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
Because in the end, you needed to know that when
things
Shinichi-
off, though.
Yeah, well, you needed to bring Miggy back, right?
Yeah.
You needed
Yeah.
to. Otherwise, you're never bringing him back, and you're leaving it open to the audience, right? Which maybe would have been a better show. Like, maybe leave it up to me if Miggy's gone or not forever.
Yeah, you know what? I would agree with you there because
Sometimes that's fun in a show where you're like, what happened in the end there?
Yeah, 'cause
but
they
they
just-
like tied it all up in a neat little package.
I don't know, man. Like when he's just like talking to him in his head, and he's just like, "Now you take over the whole thing. I'm getting tired."
Yeah.
That made me
cute.
smile so much.
It's
man.
cute. You're right. It's cute.
also his little like weird skeleton form is kind of like
Yeah.
That was creepy.
Yeah, creepy and strange. It
Yeah.
just kind of added a weird dynamic to
Yeah.
it.
What was strange about this, that was weird. Fucking weird. I forgot about that until you just said that.
Yeah.
What was strange about the last episode is that, again, I kind of described this like whole ending arc as a movie, and to watch it as a show was strange because I kind of binged it, obviously, right? But the last episode fit really well as an ending to a movie, as an ending to a show. It felt strange because it was like I'm watching a whole new show for one episode at the very end. Do you know what I mean? It was like what was the other show that happened to me with? It was Inuyasha. There was this huge ending arc, and then they close off on
Yeah.
a monster of the week at the end. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I was like, I feel like I already climaxed. And in a show, you want your climax to be the end. In a movie, you want a climax and then you want a little resolve. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, I totally see what you mean. Like
Yeah.
when the second last episode ended, I'm like, how is there one more fucking episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
And then the episode happened, and I'm like,
And you're right. It had its moments.
okay.
With Miggy, it was cute and
It
whatever.
was nice. It made me
Yeah.
smile. I'm glad it made me
Sure.
smile. But ultimately, like, yeah, it felt very just like
Yeah.
cram that shit in there at
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I do agree to a certain point because I like when you don't get an epilogue.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
'cause
you
this
got
is-
one in
yeah,
here.
you got a
a whole episode of it, dude.
You
Yeah.
got a whole like episode.
Yeah.
Right. So I do agree. Like when they don't give me an epilogue where it leaves me up to like the resolve and then that's it.
Yeah.
Right. Like I like that. That's great. Perfect. I don't need anything more. Like
Yeah.
it's all like I know what happened now.
Yeah.
And like whatever else I can just leave to my imagination or not.
Sure. The other thing about it too is that it's like it's a limited series. There's not going to be any more.
No, this
so
is it.
like to close it off in a final, like I said, neat little package way. You know what I mean? It doesn't leave me
Yeah.
wondering if I'm going to get a shitty another season a couple of years
Yeah.
from now or something. You know what
No,
I mean? Like,
and Shinichi gets Migi back, but in a way that doesn't fuck up his life.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect ending for him.
Yeah.
Well, we should watch the live action.
There's a live action?
Yeah, there's a live action.
Oh my
No, no,
God.
I just as like a joke. I mean, I find that there's very few live actions
Yeah.
from anime adaptations that are good.
Yeah.
Very, very few.
This will not be one of them.
This is not. I know for a fact it's not going to be one of them.
Tell me Scarlett Johansson is in it.
Fuck you.
She's Miggy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, yeah.
She's Miggy. And it's just the voice
of
of
Miggy.
ScarJo's
she's
fucking
also
face that comes
she's
out.
also Marino, and she's also
She's all of them.
Ryoko.
Yeah, she's everything.
Yeah.
She can play anything, honestly. Any race, any alien, any whatever. She's good.
Eddie Reyes.
Yeah, she's good to go. She's good to go. One last thing to talk about before we
Yeah.
close off is I mentioned earlier a brief little thing about Miggy's character development and how it was super subtle and you almost don't see it happening until it's all of a sudden happened. And again, they explain it with a little bit with the merging and the fact
Yeah.
that they're integrating more and more and more and more and more. And then in the end, he's just kind of like nice. Whereas before he's kind of like kind of a sassy,
Yeah.
kind of like
Backhand, like,
emotionless and sassy.
Yeah.
And in the end, he's kind of like nice, and you kind of want to hug him.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
He's kawaii.
Adorable.
Yeah.
He's just this cute, like, a little right hand.
Yeah, and so I thought
Squishy
that
right
was
hand.
effective because like for a show that's really good at building up big moments, they did that in a really downplayed, subtle way. And then at the end, when he comes back, especially, he's like, "Hey,"
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And now they're fighting together. There was like, I almost not even sure if it was me or if it was the way they wrote it, but I was like, oh, they're like they care for each other now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you really see him considering Shinichi, like when they're contemplating what to do with Goto's remains.
Yeah.
And basically, like Migi just is just like you do what you feel like you want to do, man.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like I'll back you either way.
Yeah.
Like whatever you
Totally.
decide, we're gonna do it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that lets Shinichi do his little flip flop that he does because he's like, oh, I'm not gonna do it because like I want fate to decide. And then he's just like, but like I guess I will do it. And then he does do it, right? But like every step of the way, Migi's just like, yeah, man, whatever.
Yeah,
let's do it. I'm with you.
Yeah. Are we burning or burying?
yeah.
And then in the spirit of like capping things off like they did in the last episode by bringing Migi back to save Murano, the thing is like all Migi's actions up until that point were in for his own survival, and at that point he does something that like it's not
Purely
survival
for
at all,
Shinichi.
just for Shinichi, and so you're like, okay, that really caps it off, closes it off.
Puts a big fucking smile on your face,
Yeah,
bro.
dude, a little bit.
Right. They go
But
through
also, I rolled my eyes in the back of my head at the same time as well. Yeah.
they go through so much trauma together and they built this relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was bound to go that way.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
True.
there's no way that it wouldn't.
True. Okay, you want to rate it, and then we'll cap it off. I feel like we've been talking for fucking 2 hours about this.
Okay. Well, what do you rate it at?
I give it a solid 8 out of 10.
8.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey,
Dude, really
that's
enjoyable.
good
A lot
rating.
to enjoy.
That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good rating.
The one like shortcoming, I think, was some of the diluted ways the parasites work. And the fact that I can't just accept shit, but maybe that's just me and not the show. And in the end, it was really enjoyable.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's true. It's true. Like I would give it. I would give it a pretty good rating, just like that too. An 8. What about you, Jay?
I'll go also 8. 8
Hey,
across the
it's
board.
all around.
We all agree.
There we go.
What a fucking miracle.
Yeah. Why are you so angry?
Guys, if you
loves
don't
you.
like and subscribe this video when we finally agreed, then we don't even want you as a fan.
yeah.
No, actually, we still do.
We do, yeah, definitely.
we still
But
do.
also like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe, leave a comment, all that stuff, review, whatever.
But if you don't, I'll find you
Oh my god.
and ask you politely to subscribe and like.
You're a parasite? I wouldn't even be able to tell right now.
All right, Senpai, where can people find you?
Check out hanger91.bigcartel.com.
Yeah, Hanger91.
Yeah, we're all
the
wearing
shirts.
some shit. And
Yep.
also at the time that this is airing, gonna definitely have some Parasyte shit as well. So
Sick.
keep your eyes open.
Cool.
Yeah, what about you, Jordy?
I'm reaching in on Instagram. That's where you can find me and my family and my dog and some music shit and a lot of this probably eventually.
Yeah.
On Insta, I'm Korean Barbecue at Korean Barbecue 86.
He never knows.
I never fucking know. I can never remember.
It's all good.
It'll
Yeah.
be linked below.
Yeah, like
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
It's Animation Anime.
Animation Anime.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.